Hello and welcome everybody to today's Commodities Corner presented by myself, Phil Carr, at the Gold and Silver Club. So during today's session, we will of course be covering live market analysis. We'll be going through a watch list of trade ideas. We'll certainly go through the analysis of gold, silver, oil. We'll have a look at the commodity currencies as well. As always, we will be answering questions and also providing live support. Contributions are very welcome. So any questions at all during today's Commodities Corner, please do let me know. So before we get into it, let me introduce you to the Gold and Silver Club. The Gold and Silver Club is regarded as the go-to authority on commodities trading, as international respected experts. Our analysis and our opinions on the metals, energy, cryptocurrency markets, they're routinely sought by major financial television channels and publications, which include Bloomberg, Reuters, CNBC, the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal. Our team of experts has trained and mentored thousands of traders all over the world to invest in the financial markets with confidence. Excuse the background noise. With confidence, using our exclusive strategies. For further information on the Gold and Silver Club and our expertise, please do visit our website, which is www.thegoldensilverclub.com. I'm also going to put that link into the chat as well. So there is a link which is to find out more about our training courses, which is www.jointhegollandsilverclub.com. But I'll talk you through that in more detail later on during today's session. So before we get into it, before I go over to the charts, we'll have a look at the news stories and the overall sentiment today. First of all, we're going to have a look at two different types of trade today. So essentially, when we're executing trades on binary.com, we're looking either for the price to go higher or the price to go lower. The benefit of this sort of trade is you don't need a stop loss. It's great for trading a lot of volatility. You don't need to take profit, and you don't need to be watching the trade all the time either. It can be traded really well during breakout trades, during news announcements, and just day-to-day trading. It enables you to take positions where you only really need to win the trade by a few pips in order for you to have a successful trade. So the way this works, as a recap for all of you, I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this already, but as a recap, if we're going for a trade, for example, for the price to be higher, I would execute that start time now. Typical duration, I'll be looking to get in and out within an hour or within a 3 or 4 hour period, just over the course of either the UK session or the US session. The payout could be £2,500, it could be £250, it could be £25, it could be £5. It just depends on the size of your account. It could be pounds, it could be dollars, it could be euros. Now, the stake is what you're willing to risk on the position, so that is what your deposit will be on the trade, and the payout is what you would win on the trade. So if the trade is successful, that is what you will make, and if the trade is a losing trade, you would essentially lose the stake. So if you're looking, let's say, for example, gold, if we're looking for the price of gold to be higher over the next 1 hour, start time now, if you're correct and the price closes higher than the entry price, you will win the trade. Let's say, for example, you're looking for the price of gold to go down lower over the next hour. If you're correct and the price closes lower over the hour, you would then win the trade. So this example, it would be £2,500. If the trade didn't close lower over the 1 hour duration, you'd lose the stake. So that's how it works with binary.com trades. All very transparent. You know what your risk is up front, you know what the percentage return is, and it's very flexible just depending on your trade account size in terms of the payout that you would look to establish on a position. Okay, good. So with that, let's move over to, we'll go over to the news feeds first of all, and then we'll go over to the charts as well. So I'll bring those up and we can just have a little bit of a rundown of what we're looking at today as we head into the US session. Okay, so just bear with me as I bring over my screens. You should be able to see that very shortly. And in actual fact, let me bring out. Yep, excellent. Thanks very much, Sharice. Okay, good. So first of all, one big news item I want to put on your radar for next week is Wednesday's FOMC statement. We are holding a preparation session for the FOMC statement next Wednesday for all of our traders. It's one of the biggest trading events of the year. There's essentially 8 FOMC statements a year, 4 of which is where the Federal Reserve are anticipated to increase interest rates. Next Wednesday is where the Fed are expected to do that. It's at 7 o'clock London time, we have a webinar 2 hours before that at 5 o'clock London time. We'll be prepping for the positioning prior to that and also the breakout trades as well after that as well. If you'd like to join us for that session next Wednesday, again, just go to the link I put in the chat, www.jointhegoldandsilverclub.com. These events, FOMC statements, they don't come about that often and very lucrative trading opportunities. So as we get closer to that, it's worth bearing in mind where gold is poised at the moment and silver as well. So silver this week broke out to 1-month highs. And there's a piece actually today on Reuters, which is all about silver and the potential here, you can see, for it to go up to $20 per ounce by the end of the year. Bearing in mind at the moment, we're still trading around $16.50 per ounce up to almost a $17 range. So there's a lot of potential for silver to go up much higher between now and the end of the year. The typical average yearly return on silver is approximately 14% per year, or it has been over the last 15 years. So that's from 2003 to 2018. That's been a typical return for silver. Over the last 2 years, we've seen a positive return for silver from the beginning of the year. Right now, as of the 8th of June, silver is still negative on the year, so it's down approximately 3% on the year at the moment. And if it has this typical return of at least 10% per year, which we've seen in previous years, it means that from current prices, which is below $17 per ounce, it has the potential to rally anywhere between about 10 or 15%. No guarantees, but we're just looking at probability and historical price action and fundamentals as well. We've seen more global growth, increased industrial demand as well, safe haven bid, geopolitical worries. We've got a lot of that all coming together at the moment, which is helping to keep gold around $1,300 per ounce. But silver broke out to 1-month highs this week, so definitely we'll have a look at the price structure shortly, but don't miss silver, because that could be a big one as we go into the FOMC statement between now and the end of the year as well. Typically the metals, they base out in the summer. Around June is normally the month where they hit the lows, which it looks like we've already got those lows in at the moment. If you track the gold to silver ratio, it's at a point where it's now turning and selling off, so it hit 8-to-1, which typically is a major catalyst for lows to get put into gold and silver. And that happened over the month of April. So I definitely would keep your eye on silver. Gold again, I mean, gold's been firming up today, even though the dollar has been starting to get a bid today. Gold's holding up quite well. It's still just below 1,300 US dollars per ounce. It has been consolidating for such a long time now that it's likely to have quite an explosive move once it finally does get a break. So I'm looking at more likely to be a breakout, considering that the commitment of traders data has shown us that we've seen an increase in the net long positions from funds over the last week. So I'm looking at the potential for higher prices as we go into the FOMC statement, but we may just continue to consolidate and move sideways until we get that out of the way, because the dollar is starting to get a bid, which is very common as we get closer to an FOMC statement. So traders start to get long or start to go on the bullish side of the US dollar again, expecting an interest rate hike next Wednesday. And with that, normally that pressurizes commodity currencies. So today, Australian dollar is selling off, New Zealand dollar is selling off, also euro is selling off today as well, and so is the pound US dollar. Everything is really selling off against the US dollar, which is finding some support today. But definitely I would have gold on the radar, firming up today, also on a rise in risk aversion ahead of the G7 talks this weekend, which could lend support. So we're going to be watching that very closely as we get closer to next Wednesday's FOMC statement. Also bear in mind that copper, it has broken out now to 3.5-month highs. In fact, actually now, as of yesterday, the additional surge, I think we retested the highs here, going back to about yearly highs as well. So there we go. Yeah, 17-month highs we've retested just yesterday. Part of that has been as a result of seeing a crackdown on scrap, leaving yesterday actually the major catalyst for that was Chile, and we saw there's quite a big piece on that yesterday on Reuters around the reasoning for that. China copper imports have risen to their highest in 17 months here, so that's also been a bit of a catalyst here for more, obviously, on the demand side for copper as well. And we've continued to see, there it is, yeah, we'll just go over to that, I'll bring it out to you. Okay, hold on, we'll go to the summary. Chile's copper production in April jumped 6.4% from the same month a year earlier. Chilean copper commissions said on Thursday, boosting by increased output, large privately held mines in the world's top copper producer. But over the course of this week, we've of course seen copper breaking out all the way back up to the yearly highs. Another market I would definitely have on the radar, well actually two, is going to be platinum and palladium. So palladium broke back above $1,000 per ounce this week, used in catalytic converters, of course, in cars. We've seen it break above some key resistance. Platinum has come all the way back down to a key level this week, which is $900. In fact, it pulled back to that level just today. Typically, platinum, when it comes back to $900, is a very key accumulation zone, and it's where we see buyers come back in. Again, platinum has seen an increase in demand, and we've also got a disparity between production at the moment from mines and the increase in demand as well. So that is leading to a potential catalyst for sizable move, which I'll show you in the chart very shortly over the course of the next few months here. I do see platinum around the $900 level as a very good price to look at to accumulate longer term positions. But we'll take a look at that very shortly on the charts as well. But again, next week FOMC statement, we could really see some big moves here for the metals. And then just moving it along, if we have a look at the dollar set, so far we've seen a correction over the course of this week, but the dollar has in actual fact been building some momentum so far during the London session this morning. We've seen the dollar start to catch a bid, and that has been putting some pressure on the sterling, on the euro, New Zealand dollar, and also the Australian dollar as well. The dollar extending gains today, but it's set for its biggest weekly drop in 11 weeks. So we've seen a relentless upward trend on the dollar over the last 3 months. The big question is going to be next week whether the dollar is going to get a temporary bid as we get closer to the FOMC statement on Wednesday and then sell off again, or whether it's going to be a catalyst, if it's just a temporary blip, if it's a pause in the overall upward trajectory for the US dollar, and then it just pauses and then continues its overall upward trend. So we'll have a look at that also very shortly as we go over to the charts. And also just moving over to oil. So oil this week was quite interesting. We broke key support on WTI crude oil. That was after the USA seeking Saudi to hike their oil output. And with that, that did see a break of some key support this week with oil. It continued to tumble lower. Although we're seeing some support today, Iran said on Friday a US request for Saudi Arabia to pump more oil so that it could cover a drop in Iranian exports was crazy and astonishing. And that's from one of the OPEC members. Would need to heed the appeal, setting the stage for a tough OPEC meeting this month. Now we have a OPEC meeting which is coming up on Friday the 22nd of June, so that's worth also putting in your diaries. It's about a week and a half away, and that will be a major catalyst for oil. Now bearing in mind that oil has corrected quite a lot of late, so it's pulled back over around 7% to the downside, so we're back at a key zone within the chart, which we'll have a look at very shortly as well. But certainly this week we saw a continuation of the move lower, but we've got the Baker Hughes oil rig count coming out later on today as well, so that will be an important factor. If there's an increase in oil rigs, often that causes the price to pressure and go down with oil, and if there is a decrease in oil rigs, that can give a supportive bounce to oil as well. Technically, I do actually have the beginning of a buy signal lining up for oil, but that can change throughout the session today. It really depends on whether we get follow through or not this afternoon. So let's also just move over to some of the sentiment that we're seeing at the moment too. So this should give you a bit of an idea of what we're seeing right now. Okay, so this is just really a quick overview of what is leading at the moment and what is not. So we're just incorporating here some of the Forex crosses as well, and you just get an idea of where the overall sentiment is. You don't want to really be trading anything that's too flat. You want to be trading markets that are moving today. So leading at the moment, if we have a look at some of the leaders here, platinum actually retraced back to around $895 earlier on today. Now it's up about 70 points on that. So platinum and silver. Silver's now up 0.5% on the day. I would definitely keep an eye on silver. We'll have a look at that first because of the potential to break back above the 1-month highs. Silver is leading at the moment. A lot of these Swiss franc crosses are up as well. So New Zealand dollar Swiss franc, the pound Swiss franc too, Australian dollar Swiss franc are all catching a bid at the moment. Pound Australian dollar is up today as a result of Australian dollar weakness. Gold is hovering just under $1,300. It's been very flat so far today, so we've not been seeing a lot of movement on gold, but it's consolidating below $1,300, waiting to see whether we can break back above that level. If it's going to break it, sometimes it will tend to do it on a Friday or a Friday afternoon. We will start to see a spike in price, potentially safe haven bids just prior to the weekend. So we'll see whether we do get a breakout later on in the session today. In terms of others to have on your watch list, yeah, New Zealand dollar is a bit muted at the moment. Copper is starting to pull back a little bit today. Some of the biggest movers to the downside today have been the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, actually Japanese yen pairs in general. So the euro Japanese yen sold off overnight, pound Japanese yen, Australian dollar, Japanese yen. They've all looked weak overnight here as well. Pound is starting to roll over a little bit today too, and oil is flat on the day. So overall, I think what we'll do is we'll look at the potential breakouts that we're looking at the moment with silver. That's really catching a bid, and platinum. That's where the momentum is to the upside, and we can have a look at Australian dollar, which is quite weak today so far. So let's just move that over to the charts. So first of all, let's just bring out silver, and silver still maintains a buy signal for us. We're long silver at the moment. We've been long silver from these consolidation zones, just picking up positions on each retest back towards around $16.25 per ounce. And that's been another retest towards that level over the last week here. And we finally had a breakout with silver over major resistance here. So we've broken out from this channel. And silver is catching a bid again today. And it looks to be building up a base after this consolidation. It's finally broken above a lot of this resistance. And yeah, silver does look good, looks strong at the moment. If we can break above the weekly highs here, clear back above $16.88 per ounce, then likely we're going to be on track for a revisit back towards $17. What is encouraging here for silver right now is the fact that silver is still going up, even with the dollar going up as well today. And the dollar will be important today as well, because we got a bid earlier on in the session, but price structure wise and also from a pricing perspective, it is now the weakest week in 11 for the US dollar index. So if you look at that on a weekly chart, it's basically been a negative week for the US dollar. So it's whether the dollar will reverse later on in the session. If it's just retracing back up to some overhead resistance, which then results in a sell-off, and we just see it tank later on in the session, and then in which case gold and silver could break out later on today, or whether the dollar will hold at the upper end of the range, close back above, for example, the weekly pivot, the monthly pivot, the 21-day moving average. And from a technical point of view, is that just going to be a bull flag continuation session, continuation pattern, which we've seen previously on the dollar? So that's really the question here, as to whether the dollar will just pause, and then whether we're just going to get a continuation pattern retesting the recent swing highs here, or is it the start of something more significant? Is it going to roll over during the session this afternoon? So that's the big question really today. If we move over to gold, gold price action has been well supported this week, around $1,290 US dollars per ounce. So if we look at where we're finding a lot of support at the moment, it is at that zone, 1,290, and you can see it's been backing and filling a lot. Gold, it's not breaking down, so it's not breaking it's not breaking below 1290, but it's also really struggling to get above 1,300. Now, the longer we stay within this coiling range where the price action just gets tighter and tighter, you can see we've got a pennant formation, which looks more likely at the moment to break resistance than to break support. So if the dollar sells off this afternoon, if we get some sort of safe haven bid, we just need to see an explosive break above 1,300. We'll see if we get that today, or whether it will happen as we go into next week, or the FOMC statement. Gold does seem to be setting up a base though. We noted that gold priced in the Australian dollars today broke out by 1% to the upside. So gold price and some other currencies is performing quite well at the moment. It's just because the US dollar is still at the upper end of the range, and the US dollar is still up on the day, that maybe it's pressurizing gold a little bit here. But silver is certainly leading. So silver this month is up 2.2%. That's just up 2.4% over the course of this week. So silver for me is the one to watch. Platinum as well, pull back earlier on in the session, but again, it's getting a bid. I talked about platinum quite a lot previously. I do believe platinum is on the brink of a much larger breakout here. So we've got the potential to break out above a lot of this trend channel. Platinum, it's within a 2-year channel where $900 is the accumulation zone, and really the level to look at potentially taking profit is just above $1,000. So there's a lot of potential upside here for platinum. It has been consolidating around the $900 level for about 2 weeks now. For me, the price structure looks on the verge of breaking out. Platinum can be a really fast mover. Once it gets going, it's been consolidating all week, but it looks like another false break earlier on today. It's back above $904, but it's been very choppy. The price action here has just been really range bound over the last 2 or 3 weeks. But you can see it's starting to base. And if you were to draw on trend channels here, I would suggest that we are on the verge of now breaking out of these channels where we've been within that range on a weekly basis. We're breaking the channel, and also on the daily as well. So platinum, I'm bullish. I'm long as well. I've got a buy on platinum at the moment. We've got long positions on this market right now. We've been long copper this week as well. We've taken profit off the table. Copper right now is sitting right within the upper end of the range at the moment, getting a bid alongside the other metals too. And palladium as well this week. It broke back above $1,000 per ounce. So palladium is also getting well supported. Overall, the majority of the metals have been well supported this week. So palladium is up 1.4% on the week. Gold is up 0.5% on the week here. Copper is up 6% on the week. Platinum is up just around flat, a bit flat on the week actually, but it's up just about 0.6% on the week, 0.3% on the day, and silver is up 2.4% on the day as well. So overall, the metals right now are getting well supported. Now let's move it over and also have a look at oil here. So oil, I mean, crude oil, if you have a look at this price structure, we do have a buy signal which has developed on oil. We're waiting for a bit more confirmation because it could actually be a good buy kiss from where we had this underlying level of support, this trend channel, which essentially got broken at the end of last week, beginning of this week. And the question is whether we can break out back within this channel again, within the 12-month channel, or whether it's just going to pause and then roll over. And then if this is just a pause, come back towards the upper end of the channel and then just stick with that as an overhead level of resistance, have no more additional momentum behind it and break back down. And then this time round, it could easily revisit $60 per barrel. So right now, I'm waiting to see how US oil is going to play out. Ultimately, between Brent crude oil and US oil, if you're bullish on oil, you would be better off buying Brent crude oil, and if you're bearish on oil, you'd be better off selling WTI crude oil. There's a big disparity between the pricing at the moment. The spread is one of the largest it's been in over 3 years. So WTI crude oil is trading just under $66 per barrel. Brent crude oil is trading just under 77. So there's 11 USD difference in price right now between Brent and WTI. So it's the biggest spread that we've seen on oil here in over 3 years. So ultimately, Brent crude oil is the one that you'd be more inclined to buy if you're going to buy one of the two, and WTI crude oil, US oil, is the one that you'd be more inclined to sell. So within the price structures at the moment, let's have a look at the weekly chart here. Yeah, there is a potential for a reversal on the weekly chart. We're right within the lower end of the oversold zones right now, but I would wait for the oil rig count to come out later on today. There's also a lot of reports coming out, energy reports at the beginning of next week as well. We've got two reports coming out on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, and the following week, the OPEC report. So we'll be getting set and gearing up for that at the Gold and Silver Club as well to trade the OPEC meeting on the 22nd of June. You've got the OPEC meeting on the 22nd of June, which will see trade opportunities on oil. And then next week on Wednesday, the FOMC statement that will provide good opportunities on the metals and also the US dollar and commodity currencies as well. So with that, let's actually move over to what we're seeing here on the commodity currencies at the moment. Australian dollar has pulled back this morning under a bit of pressure with the US dollar up. So we've also seen that that's been evidenced too in the Australian dollar. Japanese yen had a fairly sizable move here overnight as well, although we're starting to see a bit of a retracement on that. Just show you that in terms of the biggest movers today. Australian dollar, Japanese yen down 0.63% on the day. Australian dollar is down 0.5% on the day. So let me just bring you back to the Australian dollar. It looks like it might be done for the day. It is bouncing. We're still within a upward trending channel. If we go higher time frames, we've still got this overall channel which has been supported on the weekly, although it would depend how it closes today. But it does seem to be building up a base. And if the metals do break out, so typically Australian dollar gets well supported if gold goes up, if copper goes up, if iron ore goes up. And at the moment, that's the case. So commodities are well supported, which would suggest the Australian dollar should hold. Although it's had a bit of a sell-off over the last couple of days, it could be a good area to buy back in. Although I'm waiting probably till next week, maybe even the FOMC statement before getting back in on this. We've done well on the breakouts here, but we're now flat. We don't have any positions on the Australian dollar. New Zealand dollar this morning getting well supported, just retest the lower end of some of the recent ranges, so the underlying trend channel, some of the faster moving averages as well. So ultimately, New Zealand dollar looking stronger today than the Australian dollar. So out of the two, the New Zealand dollar has got more support at the moment. What else are we looking at right now? Yeah, we'll have a look at the euro. Euro also, I mean, it's pulled back earlier on in the session. The euro will be in inverse correlation with the US dollar index. So essentially, let's just bring back the dollar. The dollar today, it did get a bid earlier on in the session, which put pressure on the euro US dollar. But you can see here, it might just be that it ends the session with a rejection candle. So it just breaks out, comes up to all of that resistance, gets sold into, and you just end up with a rejection candle like this later on in the session, and then a continuation back into the downside, which would be more likely to give support to the euro if we form that sort of price structure later, and it might just be a retracement. The euro does look like, if you look at it on a weekly chart, you've had a classic rejection candle which has followed through quite nicely on the weekly, and then if we just bring that out with a V-shaped reversal pattern price structure as well on the euro, you can see where it's essentially just come back into support at the lower end of the channel. For me today, I would keep an eye on what's moving. So again, I mean, actually, we're seeing a bit of a change here. So silver's now leading. So silver, again, we've got a long position on silver at the moment. We're also long on platinum too. Both of those are some of the biggest gainers on the day right now. Some of the Swiss franc crosses are getting a bid at the moment. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc in particular as well. Actually, let's just move that. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's seen quite a big reversal. Might be done for the day though. Let's just see what else is lining up. Would probably more likely still stick with some of the metals here. I would have alerts if you haven't done so already. If you don't have these set up, I would have alerts on gold, because if it breaks above 1300 today, it's got a lot of potential to break out above this range. So if you'll watch it today, I would watch gold this afternoon if the US dollar starts to sell off, because of how well silver and platinum are performing. Usually there's a bit of lag time, but because silver and platinum are the best performers of the day and they're still leading, I would definitely have a look at gold for potentially to catch up. I would probably not. I'd say the move's already done with selling some of the commodity currency crosses like Australian dollar or Australian dollar Japanese yen. They're starting to retrace. So I probably would avoid those, selling those. My main preference is commodities this afternoon and managing some of those positions and seeing what the US dollar does as well. So I hope that gives you a bit of clarity, guys, in terms of what we're looking at as we go into the US session today. Again, we will be trading the FOMC statement next week with all of our members and clients at the Gold and Silver Club. If you'd like to find out more and join us for the pre-FOMC preparation session, we've got a special opportunity and bonus for you to join us for that session next week. Okay, so it's www.jointhegoldandsilverclub.com. There's quite a lot happening this month because we've also got the OPEC meeting on the 22nd of June as well. So alongside that actual FOMC statement webinar, which we'll be hosting next week, you get access to our live trading room program as well. So with that, you get access to our custom built market data and news trading platform. That's up to you if you'd like to be set up with that, but we can get you set up with a complimentary trial to try this out. It's the data I've been showing you today is off our custom built market data and news trading, which will help you a lot day to day with your trading. A lot of our traders love that and have said that it really helps give them an edge and understands the markets a lot more from a depth point of view. So they're not just looking at the technicals, they're also understanding sentiment and news and fundamentals during the day as well. You get invitations to our live trading rooms, so you can join us during our live trading rooms during the week, All of those are recorded. If you miss a session, we'll provide you with a recording shortly afterwards. You do get the live trade alerts, so they're delivered to you instantly by email and SMS, which can help a lot, especially when we're seeing breakouts on markets. You get weekly trading plans. So every weekend we put together a trading plan for all of our members of the Gold and Silver Club, which you can watch in your leisure over Saturday and Sunday to get prepared for the week ahead. We provide you with access to the Private Members Academy, which is really useful, where you can go through our training videos, our strategies, our signals, and you can go through all of our training material on the Private Members Academy as well. You also get VIP phone and email support directly from our senior traders. We can set up your platform. This is, again, completely up to you. If you'd like us to get this set up for you, it's easy for us to do, customize all of your charts and indicators as well at the Gold and Silver Club. So you've got access to all of that too. And again, for more information, all you need to do is go to www.jointhelivetradingroom.com. That will just break it down for you with more information. But if you want to make a direct application, it's just www.jointhegoldandsilverclub.com. Great. So I think that's it, guys. So I think that's it for in terms of the questions and comments. And again, next week is going to be a big week, because not only have we got the G7 meeting this weekend, we've also got the FOMC statement on Wednesday. We have the European Central Bank announcement next Thursday as well, and we're going to start leading into OPEC as well. So there's a lot happening this month. It's a great time to really learn how to trade these news events. If you've not traded them before, if you want to learn a little bit more about how to trade these and get on the right side of these sort of big market moving events, do just get in touch with us at the Gold and Silver Club. Okay, fantastic. So with that, I wish you all a fantastic weekend, good trading, and we'll speak to you real soon. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks, Reese. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.